Once again, we're broadcasting for the State Library Association. The archives in Frankfort receive a copy of these oral histories along with the Pogue Library at Murray State University, the Marshall County Library, and of course, it's being aired by WCBL courtesy of Shelby McCallum. I'm Ray Mofield, and we're visiting today in the home, I guess we're in the home of Carl Chester, but we have a couple of other Chester visitors here, and particularly we want to talk to Mr. Homer Chester. And we're going to start off by asking him the world's most embarrassing question. How old are you, Mr. Chester?
84. I'll be 85 in October. I'm 84 now.
You're 84 now, and you're getting very close to being 85 years of age. And for the benefit of those in genealogy, and we have a lot of them around the world now, we try to take back in history as far as we can trace it. I'm going to let you tell us your immediate forebears. Your father was?
Thomas S. Chester.
And he married whom?
Lillian Hill.
So the Hill and the Chester families were united there, and that brought you along. How many children were there in that family?
My brother and sister?
Yes, sir.
Yes, there was 5.
5 altogether?
Yeah, 2 boys and 3 girls.
Now, Gordon Chester, who taught agriculture in Marshall County and will be known to nearly everybody, I suppose, who'll be listening to this broadcast, is related to you. Is he a nephew?
His dad and me were first cousins.
Oh, we're first cousins, so you weren't quite that much kin. But he's done some work on taking the Chester name back a little bit farther. In fact, I looked at a piece of paper that he gave me a moment ago, and it traced it all the way back to England and to, let's see, was it Samuel Chester, an engineer, came to Boston from England in 1663. Now, that's not too long after the Mayflower landed in December of 1620. The first settlement in the New England area, of course, Virginia was settled in 1607. And then it says he moved to New London, Connecticut. But the Chester coat of arms is ascribed to Leonard Chester of County Leicester, England, belonging to the same family as Sir Robert Chester, who lived in the time of Henry VIII. Now, that really gets us back in time, doesn't it? Just a little bit after the Norman conquest in 1066. Now, I guess we don't have a direct lineage to that, but we're going to ask Gordon Chester to give us the immediate lineage here. Gordon?
Well, as far back as we can go will be to William Chester. He was born in North Carolina in February 1792, and he died July the 20th, 1868. Now, William Chester came across the Blue Ridge Mountains with 2 brothers and 1 sister in an ox wagon when he was a young man, and he settled in Montgomery County, Tennessee. And while there, he married Elizabeth Copeland, about 1810, who was born in North Carolina. Now, grandfather William Chester served in the War of 1812. When the war ended, he resumed his former occupation of farming. He continued to farm in Montgomery County and Stewart counties in Tennessee for some time, and then moved to what is now known as Soldier Creek. They didn't stay at Soldier Creek very long because it was said to be an unhealthy section, and there was a disease there that they call milk sick. Now, I don't know what milk sick was. Maybe you do, Ray.
Well, I'm not absolutely certain, but now you see a lot of it in early American history. I've been reading some history in southern Illinois, in Hardin County, as a matter of fact, and a milk sickness is described as just about wiping out the area around Elizabethtown and Cave and Rock way back, I'd say, in about 1830. Now, just exactly what milk sickness was, I never have found in the literature.
I'd often wondered myself what it was.
I
thought
wondered
maybe-
if it were undulant fever, Bang's disease, or something like that.
That's what I thought possibly that it would mean, because there is a connection there, I think, between undulant fever and milk.
Yes.
And that could have been what it was. Now, they left from around Soldier Creek, and they moved to this farm that you're on right now. And that happened about, let's see. I don't believe I have a date that they moved here, but I did have a deed at one time that was signed by Isaac Shelby, the first governor of the state of Kentucky.
Now, that is something. I haven't run into that before. Isaac Shelby was governor. Of course, he was the hero of Kings Mountain battle and the Revolutionary War, and that made him a big military hero, such as we've experienced in our lifetime with General Eisenhower and others who became president because of their military feats. And of course, he's one of two people that was called to serve again, and he served in the War of 1812 as well.
Yes, I lost that deed. I wouldn't take anything for it, but it's gone now, and it's kind of like Homer. It may have burned up in our old home place, which is on up the road from where Homer's grandfather lived. The house burned up there also.
Now, this is Soldier Creek that runs by here.
No. Yeah.
Is it or not?
No. Duncan.
Duncan Creek.
Duncan,
Is it a branch of Soldier Creek?
No.
no.
It is.
Comes in back up.
Uh-huh.
You go across Soldier Creek when you're going to Benton,
Yes, on Kentucky 58.
58.
Okay. Now, that is the oldest settled area of Marshall County, it and Wadesboro. And that's the oldest church, incidentally, in the Jackson Purchase, but we needn't get off on that, I guess. It was founded, the first Baptist preacher there was Henry Clay Darnell. So he had a famous name, anyway, from Henry Clay. Now, some one of you were telling me a story about General Washington, President Washington. Mr. Homer, was that you? What was it you said that he did?
I said my great-grandmother was born while he was president. She was born in 1795.
Now, is her tombstone in Soldier Creek Cemetery?
Yes, sir, it is.
And it says 1795 on
Yes,
it.
sir, it does.
Well, President Washington, of course, was elected in 1788. He took office in 1789 under the new Constitution. He was reelected the second term in 1792 and served through March the 4th, 1797. So he definitely was president.
Yes, you are.
He signed Kentucky's papers as the 15th state to the Union, which entry came on, of course, June the 1st, 1792. Well, that's amazing. Now, we have someone buried here in Marshall County.
That's what I thought. And I didn't know that. I didn't know it. Nobody ever told me that. I think I'm the first one.
Goes back to the very first president of this nation. Now, that's something, isn't it? Do you have anything else you'd like to give us before we get away from you, Gordon?
No, this is, Homer can probably give you more about the great-grandfather of Chester and great-great than I can. It's all here, of course, in the family tree that's written down here.
Well, do you remember anything, Mr. Homer, about your grandfather? Did you see your grandfather?
Sure. Lived in the house where he died. Yeah. We moved in with him. It was my step-grandmother. But we moved in the house with him and lived for several years before he died. Yeah, right up there on the hill.
Now, that is quite a connection to think about, the reason we're taping this, obviously, is to save those memories. Do you remember where you first started to school? Was it a one-room country school around here?
Phipps School right across the highway.
Somebody told me that at one time they thought there were 55 grammar schools, elementary schools in Marshall County. Of course, now we have,
Wow,
6,
yeah.
I think.
See, there was Phipps, and then down there was Hale Springs. Back up here was another one. Well,
Of course, Brewers is not far from here.
no.
Thompson School, was it in this
It's
area?
in Callaway.
See,
Just barely over the line, though. And
yeah, Phipps is in Marshall.
was there a school at Mount Olive? There was a church building, and I think a school there, just barely in Marshall
Yeah.
County.
It was. Yeah, I guess that's right.
Uh-huh.
Mount Olive back over here, you know.
Yeah, and then of course you weren't terribly far, I guess, to Union Hill. Liberty, was it in this area? Wadesboro, of course, the
Yeah.
first capital of Callaway County, serving from 1823 till 1842.
Union Hill is just back straight back
Uh-huh.
on the other road over there.
All right, do you remember any of your first teachers, or any of your teachers in the...
Oh, yeah. My worst was Miss Lucy Woods. Lucy Woods. She was, first she was born in Benton, Lucy Woods, and then,
I'm not sure I've come up with that name before. Of course, I've interviewed, you're the 78th one, I believe, so...
her folks lived in Benton, I know.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, because Willie Baptist taught there, and, oh, goodness, I said Lucy Woods,
And Mr. Mathis?
mhm.
All right, that's fine. We're not trying to get an absolute record of everything that occurred. What was school like then?
Oh, it's all right, I'd say.
Did you learn pretty well, even
Yeah.
though you had everybody in one room?
Yeah.
And actually, you learned to spell better than 1983
Yes,
graduates did.
sir. Yeah. They put more emphasis on spelling then.
A lot of emphasis on reading, writing, arithmetic,
Mhm.
and of course the reading included spelling.
Yeah.
And then in the upper grades, you had things like, I guess,
History and geography.
history, geography, maybe a health course, physiology or
Yeah.
something
Yeah, we had physiology.
of that. And what did you like best?
Well, I liked,
Were you a figurer? You liked mathematics?
well, that was my best in those. Spelling, reading, writing, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I did pretty good.
What was recess like?
Oh, it's good. Had a lot of fun. Playing games.
Do you
Just-
remember any of the games you
Yeah,
liked?
stealing sticks, and just have a line of sticks on each side, and we have a bunch of sticks, and we'd steal them. We were stealing and jumping the rope, and
Popping the whip, maybe?
yeah, and we played ball too.
Uh-huh.
We called it town ball. It's just kind of like baseball, and batting ball had bats and balls too.
Yeah.
2 bats and 2 balls. We had that a lot too.
What did you, after you finished elementary school and so on, you grew up, you were living on a farm. You farmed with your dad a while. Tell us about your courting days.
We was talking about the school, though. My brother and me, we went to school. We went to Benton one spring term of school there.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have much courting days. I married my first date. I just had one sweetheart.
Now, that was love at
Uh,
first sight.
yeah.
I've heard it worked out, though, didn't it?
Yeah. Then somebody kind of teased me about getting married again. I said, no, I just had one sweetheart.
Uh-huh. That's all you wanted.
I'm going to keep it that way.
Your companion is now deceased.
Yeah, she died. How long has it been, Corvette? She died in 1971.
How many children did you have?
Just doesn't know her. Just one.
Had one son. Uh-huh. All right.
Yes. She died in
What was her name?
Louise Baker. Louise
Mhm.
Baker.
All right. Was she from Marshall County?
Yeah, she's raised just the other side of Brewers over there.
So did you meet her at school?
Well, no, I met her right over here at the party on the hill first.
Oh, now I was wanting you to tell me what you did for amusement. Now you've told me about it. You met her at a party. What were these parties like?
Well, it was just a party, had supper. Of course, it got to having play parties, you know, but I never did play, and it wasn't right, not very far back over there. And she lived just the other side of the Brewers, and that's where I hadn't ever seen her till there. And that's where I met her, up on top of a big hill there. We just sat around and talked, and I reckon changed partners, you know, and had supper. That's one of the main things. A good
You
meal.
found out she could cook.
No, it wasn't at her house. She was a visitor, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to a school when they had a pie supper?
Yeah. I went to Hale Spring, and I bought her pie and ate with it at Hale Spring. She went to Hale Spring, and I went to Phipps.
Do you remember what you had to give for it?
No, I don't. Maybe a dime. I don't know what. It's awful good. I remember that.
Yeah.
She cooked it, you know. And then had spelling after that, I believe it was. That was old Hale Spring.
How did these spelling bees go? Did you turn one another down, or did you have to quit when you missed a word?
Well,
Or you did
we
both?
had round spelling first, and then they had that kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I won it down at Hale Spring. You just showed out. And
You won the Hale Spring spelling bee.
That's pretty good spelling.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful.
Of course,
Right. What year did you get married?
19 and 19.
Right. Did you start housekeeping right around here?
Yeah.
You never did run off to Detroit and make automobiles?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. Tell us about that.
Well, I won't tell you about the we went to Paris, Tennessee to get married. Everybody did. Wasn't any objection to it. We just wanted to go. Oh, yeah, we went to Detroit in 1928. Well, I worked there at the Briggs a while and wasn't too good a job. Then I got a job over there at Bauer Roller Bearing, which was a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And stayed there till the Depression. Depression hit in 29, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And everything went under, so we came home and never did go back. We just stayed a little over a year.
Briggs Body Company. They made bodies for Ford and I guess other companies.
Then I went to
too.
Bauer Roller Bearing. They made roller bearings there for all these cars.
All the
And that's a pretty good job there.
automobile companies.
We stayed up there. Well, we stayed more than a year. We went in the spring and came back in the fall, you know, the next year.
All right. About you said you went to Paris, Tennessee. That reminds me that my father and mother went to Paris, Tennessee to get married.
I wish I had wrote our parents' birth certificates up there. The kids that lived up there in the house found it. Been there a long time. It's just there up there now. It's house.
They married on my dad's birthday, March
Yeah.
30th, 1919. And my mother's
Well, that's the year we married.
same year you got married.
Yeah.
Do you remember what month it was?
It is. No, it is. No, I can't remember. It's long in the early fall, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How much did it cost to start housekeeping? What did you have to buy?
Well, we just bought what we had to. Of course,
You didn't start out with everything,
oh
with
no, we
a
didn't have.
refrigerator and washer,
No.
automatic washer and
Of course, our
dryer.
parents had some to spare, you know. Gave us some. That helped. And we went just got plenty of things. We actually needed.
Where did you buy what things you had to have? Did you go to Hardin to trade, or Benton, or Murray,
Well,
or Mayfield?
all three.
Yeah, we went to all of them. Yeah.
We always went to Benton a little more. It's a little closer than the other places.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we had country stores too, where you bought a lot of things.
Yeah.
That you needed.
Well, now, Mr. Chester, I want you to tell me about
I'm sorry.
the community around Brewers. Was it ever a bigger town than it is now?
Well, No, there wasn't as many houses, but it's a bigger according. Seemed like, so scattered out. And no, it's
Of course, I remember when it had a high school,
yeah.
and
It built up. They actually built a high school there, then, and the church is there. The church is there already up there. And, yeah, it's
who ran the store when you were a boy?
my Uncle Jimmy Chester. He ran a store down a little further down towards Hale Spring, and then moved up there. And my father's brother. Yeah, guys. You met Guy, hadn't
Yes.
you?
And I went to school at Murray State, and I believe I was in the same class with Martha Brooks Chester. Marilyn, the mayor's wife in Benton, is a bit younger than I. So is Coy, of course. He was on the 48. I guess he was a senior in 48 in the basketball team that went undefeated at Brewers, McCoy, Terry's group, and so forth. I remember when he played well. In fact, I broadcast many of those ball games. But
Yeah, I know you.
did you get any breaks at the store because it was operated by your kinfolk?
Oh, I imagine he did, so. He was a mighty good friend to me. I think he could say the same thing. I worked down there some, tested milk there. Had these.
Can you tell us how to run a Babcock tester?
No.
I used to think, Gordon, when I was growing up, that's what I wanted to do. I'd go into this little store, and the guy would have a pencil behind his ear, and we were making about $15 a year, farming a sharecrop farm. And in '33, Dad actually did make $14. The tobacco brought 21, I remember, after all the expenses were paid, and we had to give Arthur Blaylock, the farm owner, $7. And I'd go to these cream stations, and here this fellow was, had a pencil behind his ear, and he'd take a little sample of cream and pour in one of those test tubes, and then he'd put some acid in there, and he'd set it in this Babcock tester. And I'd have given a quarter to just turned it.
I tested milk at both those two stores there, and my father-in-law.
Did you ever let any little boys turn that thing that wanted to, or not?
Oh, I don't think so. I tested both stores there. I tested milk.
Then they came out with some calipers and put up on the markings on the side of that and said, okay, the butter fat is 6.2.
That's a pretty particular job, I'm telling you.
Jersey cream sometimes did test over 6, didn't it?
Yeah. Some of them. There's an old man over there. He had tested about 10, I think. But everybody thought he skimmed his milk. Put more cream. Yeah.
Did you ever see a cold water separator?
Well, yeah, we had one. Well, sure. Turned it. Yes, that's where he separated that cream before he took it over there. Well, sure.
You must have had a De La Valle or something like that, one of these.
Well, no, we had one before that one, De La Valle. What'd you say his name?
I remember the De La Valle, but
We had one before that,
Yeah.
We sure did.
I don't know what the name of that would have been, but I can remember that.
Well, it's the same principle. De La Valle is the same principle. Of course, it's just a little more modern, than the other kind.
I know one thing. It took a lot of hard work to wash those discs. It seemed to me like there were 1,000 of them. Of course, there weren't. About, 20 maybe? And you'd put all those discs on there, though. But washing that out, and sometimes it didn't smell so good either, did it?
No. Let's keep it clean.
But if you didn't have 59 cents worth of cream on Saturday and Wednesday, what'd you do with your cream? Did you ever ship any to Blue Valley Creamery in Louisville?
I guess it did. Of course, I didn't have anything to do with that part of it, Just the merchant there at the store. He shipped it, or I don't know just where. I expect some of it went to Louisville. That did. I didn't keep up with that very much. We just milked the cows and separated them, and I tested the cream over there.
What kind of crops did you grow?
Well, tobacco, corn and tobacco is the main thing. Yeah, that's the main thing.
What was the least you ever got for your tobacco? Do you remember?
Oh, I guess about a nickel a pound, about the least.
Mhm.
I know they don't.
Now, Gordon, what are they getting this year about? Didn't they get over $1
Got
last?
over $1.
Mhm.
In fact, I believe it got nearly $1.50.
Uh-huh. About
Right.
$1.50.
Depends on what you was growing, whether it was dark part or burley.
Mm-hmm.
The best I remember, my dad was, I think, wasn't he, Homer, about one of the first that grew burley here?
I expect so, yeah.
I can remember when he grew burley, and it was
Yeah.
something that was new.
Well, I'm sure that's correct because we've, until I was grown, we'd never grown any burley. We had type 23 dark fired. Now that was a mess. My dad always said it took 13 months to grow it. But you had to burn a plant bed back in January when the warm thaw came and the weather got pretty good and you burned your plant bed. And then the market in Murray didn't open till February. So it was over 12 months before you could get that mess out. And furthermore, we didn't we didn't have anything to keep it from suckering.
No.
You just had to pull them off
Yes,
3 or 4
sir.
times.
Yes, sir. Sure.
And we didn't have much to keep the worms from eating them. Now, we got to where we'd spray with arsenate of lead or a little Paris green. Did you ever put that on?
Yeah, we did later years, but back when I first remember, we didn't have a thing. Just pick 'em off.
We sprayed mostly for cutworms till they got up any size, and then when the tobacco got a little bigger, we just had to hunt for them.
Yeah.
And if you missed one, the next week he was big around as your finger.
Yes,
Spit in your eye.
yeah. Yes, sir. I like to pull the heads off, though. And
What is the worst job on the farm to you?
well, I expect raising tobacco. Of course, it made me sick to working in the sun shining hot.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. I could work in all right, except when the sun's hot. I guess I thought less of that than anything.
When you had a free day, did your mother ever make you pick blackberries?
No, I picked them, but I guess you did, brother. I kind of enjoyed that.
Did chiggers ever bother you?
Oh, boy. They sure did. You know, if anybody's a little bit fair complected, they about eat you up. Just
And you have blue eyes, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So did I. I've suffered at the hands of chiggers for many, many times.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell us about your first experience, let's say, and when did you get your first car?
1914, I believe it was. I believe that's it.
Uh-huh.
Maxwell. It's a Maxwell car.
A Maxwell. Jack Benny had one.
Yeah, sure. There's a kind to have.
That later became Chrysler Corporation, the great automobile, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Walter
well,
P.
well.
Chrysler built his corporation on that original Maxwell.
Me and my brother wanted Ford, though. We thought this, and they were too. We had a lot of trouble with that Maxwell.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it.
Well, it was a pretty heavy car for the roads you had.
Oh,
Were the roads, what were the roads like when you got
Well,
married?
just, you couldn't make it. You couldn't drive a car in wintertime. The road was good in summer, but not much in winter.
They weren't all gravel then,
Oh, no.
even, were they?
No, sir.
Had a lot of mud roads. And,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Yeah.
What about your first train ride? Did you go to Detroit on the train?
No, well, no. I went to Memphis, Tennessee. I used to run excursions to Memphis, Tennessee. My mother had a friend she raised here at Benton, and she had a family down there. And me and my brother in Guychester used to run excursions to Memphis, you know. We went down there on an excursion to 3 from here to Memphis. That's the longest trip I ever took.
Well, we're just about to run out of time, but I do want to get in another question or two, and you be thinking about anything you might want to add. Do you have any grandchildren?
Yeah.
Your son Carl married Ruth Roberta Holland, and how many children do they have?
I mean, just the grandchildren, just 3. But I've got 3 great-grandchildren.
3 great-grandchildren.
I have.
Well,
3 grandchildren and 3
of course,
great-grandchildren.
at 84, I guess that's not too
Oh, I know.
unexpected.
No.
All right, and they're a real pleasure to
Oh,
you,
boy,
I'm sure.
yes, sir. They just live too far away. One of them lives at Washington, D.C., and the other Freehold, New Jersey. And, of course, my grandson had
To you, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. They just live too far away. One of them lives at Washington, D.C., and the other Freehold, New Jersey. And, of course, my grandson but he lives in Homestead, Florida. But he's not married. They're all scattered.
But they're all a long,
Oh.
long way from home, aren't
Sure
they?
are.
But you do have Carl and Ruth,
Yeah.
and they're not, you live by yourself? How far away do you live from here?
On this top of the hill, about 100 yards, it's about 150 yards.
Not very far. Well, that's good.
Oh, just top of the hill.
So they can help when you need help,
Oh, yeah.
and when you want to be by yourself while you're by yourself.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, Mr. Homer, it's been a real pleasure for me. Do you have something that you'd like to put on before we sign off?
Oh, I don't know what to do. I can't. My mind not active it used to be, not by a lot. Of course, I know I've had a lot of experiences, but I don't know anything.
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate your cooperating with us and letting us get this record of the famous Chester family before it disappears and somebody comes along that doesn't remember. Gordon, do you have any last words for us?
No, right up here at the top of the hill, though, I believe we have something other that I don't know whether I should mention it or not, but
Go ahead.
The Chesters were slaveholders.
Yes, sir.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Homer, there is a grave up there with a marker
Yes.
of the one slaveholder that the Chesters had.
Mm-hmm.
She was allowed to go free, and she, as I understood it, told to me that she decided she wanted to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And she stayed her life out here on the farm. And she's buried right up this hill here.
You know, I remember a lady at Hardin, they called her Priss. Now, I'm not sure what her name was, but she worked for Horace Warren's family in the hotel there and lived in his house. And I was told the story that she was freed, of course, at the end of the war. And she said, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm living right here. This is my home. And she stayed there till she died. I have seen the lady in my lifetime. I don't know when she died, but she must have lived past 1930 or so, because I can remember her quite well from living there in Hardin with the Warren family. So that is a very interesting story, and that'll have to be, I guess, our last story for today. Thanks to Carl for letting us use his home, his electricity, and so on. I'm Ray Mofield, speaking for the State Archives in Frankfort and the Oral History Project, the Murray State University, and the Marshall County Library Service. We return you now to our studios in Benton.